I made the mistake of sleeping with my neighbor. We live in the same building, and I came home from a night out about 2 weeks ago and met him in the hallway. We got talking and he invited me back to his place. We had a drink. One thing led to another, and we slept. I have to admit, the coition was pretty awkward and bad. I'm cringing as I write this. But as we were doing it, he told me he loved me. We had spoken about twice before this night. So I got my first impression. Maybe he was a bit strange. I was really embarrassed by the whole thing. Thought he would be too, and not very maturely decided to just avoid him. I thought he would get the hint that it was just a drunk one-time thing, and I wasn't interested. But I kept seeing him all the time. I think he must have worked out what time I left and got back from work, because I started bumping into him way more than I used to. I kept the conversation short and acted uninterested because I thought he would get the hint and back off a little. I guess I was just avoiding that awkward conversation, telling him I wasn't interested, but in no way was I encouraging him. He persisted, and then, a few days ago, he added me on Facebook, which I ignored. The next time I saw him, he asked me why I hadn't accepted his friend request. So I decided to be a bit more assertive and said something like, "The other night was fun, but I'm really not interested in anything." He was quite upbeat and replied, "Okay, that's cool, but we can still be friends." So I thought maybe I had been a bit immature towards him, and now that I've told him my intentions, we could be friends. I still think he's being a bit over-friendly with me. I'm sure he's waiting to bump into me, because I see him all the time. He also is not shy about asking personal questions, like about ex-boyfriends and stuff. I get that some people are more open about some things, but I find it a little weird. On Facebook, he has liked so many of my pictures. I know we all stalk people on Facebook, but he's very obvious about it. He has also messaged a couple times asking me to hang out. My question is, his behavior is a bit weird, or am I just being overly dramatic? I am happy to be his friend, but I feel like he is being a bit over the top. I don't want to act like a puss towards him, but I don't really know how to tell him to tone it down without coming across as one. He is someone I will probably keep seeing, so I feel like I have to be nice to him, but he is weirding me out a bit. Relevant comments. Somebody said, "Dude, you should not have brushed off his 'I love you' comment." I only brushed it off because I thought it was a silly drunk comment, and he was literally right on top of me, so I didn't want to make the whole thing even more awkward by mentioning it. Maybe I have been oblivious, but I just didn't think anyone would say that when they were sleeping with someone they didn't really know. Thought from original poster. Yes, hindsight is a great thing, but I have deleted him on Facebook now and hope it will all just subside. I have told a couple friends about it anyway, so if things get worse they know, but honestly, I don't think he's that crazy. Somebody said, "You really do not have to be his friend." Original poster replied, "I really was happy for his friend, but I just found him a bit overwhelming because I felt like I couldn't leave my home without having to see him and talk to him, and his presence on Facebook was pretty annoying." I do agree though, I don't have to be his friend, and I quite like the way you worded how to break it off, so thanks. Update 4 days later. So I'm going to begin with the typical, thanks for the advice, and for those who kept telling me, yes, I've learnt my lesson about sleeping with someone who I don't really know and can't really avoid. Anyway, on to the update on this situation. The first thing I did was delete and block him from Facebook, but that's the easy bit, because I was still going to have to talk to him in person. I coincidentally ran into him on Monday. The first thing he said to me was, "Have you deleted your Facebook or something? Because I can't find you anymore." So I went for it and gave a long speech about how he's a nice guy and I thought we could be friends, but I feel like I'm leading him on by hanging out together as I'm really not interested. He replied that he really does just want to be friends and that it would be more awkward now if we're not. I just said something like, "I don't want to give you the wrong impression, so I think it's best for now if we're not." And then I just quickly left before he could say anything else. I felt like a bit of a puss saying it, but I guess it needed to be said, and I'm glad I did it because he was overwhelming me slightly. So far it worked, and I haven't actually seen him since then, but it has only been like 2 days. However, last night I got a rambling long letter through my door. It came quite late, so I'm almost hoping he was drunk or something when he delivered it, because I think it's kind of freaking weird, and also vaguely insulting. I think I will type it out as it's difficult to explain the tone of the letter. So here it is. Dear, you didn't give me much chance to speak the other night, and there is more I wanted to say, though this might actually be an easier way for me to explain my thoughts and feelings. I know we had only talked a few times before our tryst, but I felt like there was an obvious connection between us. I'm sure you must have felt it too, or I don't think you would have come home with me that night. I'm not the type of guy who sleeps with girls I don't really know, but I was extremely attracted to you, and when it appeared you reciprocated my feelings, I couldn't help myself. When you told me you weren't interested in anything romantic, I understood, even if it was not what I wanted to hear. I don't know anything about your personal life, part of the reason why I am not usually interested in one-night stands, and so of course I realize why you might not be interested in me. However, I think it is strange you don't at least want to be friends. We shared a very intimate moment with each other, and you can't pretend it never happened. It therefore seems only logical that we become friends. It only makes it more awkward if we aren't. I just want to say, if you feel embarrassed or worried that I think of you as slutty, don't be. I don't judge you. That would be a terrible double standard. Though be careful, because some men may see your behavior as slutty, especially if you refuse to talk to them after. Just like when a guy doesn't call a girl after they sleep together, he's seen as an a-hole. Really, the point of me saying all this is just to repeat that I understand you are not interested in a relationship with me, and I respect that. However, I am just going to say it. I really like you. You're a fun, smart, and a beautiful girl, and I would love to get to know you more. I don't think you can deny that we got along very well before that night, and I don't think what happened should change anything. Don't think you're leading me on. I'm a grown guy, and I know that no means no, and can handle just being friends with you. But I respect what you said to me, even if it hurts a little, and will keep my distance from you for now. If you change your mind, and if you ever want to talk to me, or if you need anything, you know where I live, and I will always welcome you. That's what neighbors are for, right? I do feel a bit bad because he obviously does like me, and has put a lot of emotional value on what happened between us, but I just don't feel like I can deal with someone as intense as him. Maybe it's just me, but I do think that his letter has confirmed that he is a bit odd, so I'm glad I said what I said and was upfront with him. I think he will leave me alone now. He has so far, though I hope if we do see each other we can be polite and it won't be too awkward, but it probably will. Told him I wasn't interested in being friends. He sent a long letter telling me his feelings, but I think he will leave me alone. Update. I was hopeful there would be no more updates to this, because he managed to go for about a week without contacting me. I hadn't seen or heard from him for a few days, so I thought things were blowing over and he had gotten over it. Then, yesterday afternoon, I was getting some stuff out of my car, and I suddenly heard his voice say, "Hey, do you need a hand?" Of course, we were going to see each other again at some point, and I thought I was polite with him by just saying, "Hey, no, I'm fine, thanks." I really didn't think this was rude, and I really didn't need any help anyway, but he seemed to get offended by it and started to get mad at me. He said something like, "What's your problem? I'm only trying to help you. All I've ever done is be nice to you, but you still act like a puss." I think he said more, but I was kind of shocked at how he reacted. He stormed off before I could say anything, but I don't even know what I would have said, as I was a bit stunned, and also totally embarrassed because there were people around who probably heard it all. I was also a bit upset, because I know that he is allowed to feel a bit used or whatever, as he obviously likes me more than I liked him, but I do think this outburst was uncalled for. I have made my feelings clear to him now, and I know the truth hurts sometimes, but I don't think he has to take it out on me like this. This morning, I woke up to another letter. This one is quite short, and so I will type it out again. Dear, I want to apologize for shouting at you earlier. I let my anger get the better of me, and I'm sorry about that, but I can't help but get frustrated at your behavior. I get that you're not interested in me and that you don't want to be my friend. Even if I do find it strange, you're aware of my feelings on this, so I won't repeat them. However, when someone is trying to help you, it is good manners to accept it, or at the very least, be grateful. Again, I'm sorry, and I realize I need to think about the way I acted and will try not to do it again. By the way, how adults deal with awkward situations, they don't pretend they never happened. Hope you accept my apology and the little bit of advice I gave you. Maybe I should be grateful he apologized, but I almost think this letter is worse because he is not even trying to hide the insults and is totally patronizing. I don't know how to deal with him anymore. He seems to have gotten over his love for me, but now has some grudge against me. If he really thinks all this about me, I don't even know why he even wants to talk to me and be friends. It must have been like a month since we slept now anyway, so I don't know why he can't accept it and move on. I kind of want to talk to him again now, but I get the feeling that is what he wants me to do. Should I just ignore him and hope he gets bored when he realizes I won't give him any attention? Or should I tell him again, more assertively, that I want him to leave me alone? I'm so freaking stressed about seeing him again though, because I don't know what he's going to be like. Relevant comments. Time to move. I'm actually seriously considering this, but I can't really afford to. Yes, I'm thinking this would be the easiest thing to do. My parents aren't really an option, but I'm going to call my brother. For obvious reasons, I haven't told him anything about this, but I'm going to tell him, and I think he would help me out financially. Call the cops. I did think about doing this, but I just don't know what I would say. I slept with someone, and now they've sent me a couple letters even though I don't want him to. I just don't think they will take it seriously. I think I will call them to see what my options are. However, even if I can get a no-contact order or whatever, I don't think I would want to live that close to him and have to see him regularly. People share lots of advice, from pepper spray to what to say update. I had requests to update on what happened, so here it is. Hopefully, it is the final one. Things have happened quite quickly since my last update. I was still kind of undecided whether to write to him to tell him to leave me alone, as this would give me proof if things went further, or to just ignore him. Anyway, I called my brother, who I didn't initially want to tell about all this, but I thought I probably should tell someone in my family. He was totally adamant I shouldn't contact him, and I should call the cops if he continues. So I took his advice and decided to not communicate with my neighbor. I sort of regret telling my brother now because he really did not help the situation. I had been out on Friday night and stayed over at my friend's house, so I didn't get back until Saturday morning. I came back wearing what I had been out in, so to my neighbor, it probably looked like I had spent the night with a guy. So this may have made him a bit more angry. He was in the hallway when I got back. I'm totally sure he had been waiting for me and said to me, "I don't appreciate getting threatening messages from your brother." I honestly had no idea what he was talking about, so I said that, and I found out that my brother had sent him some kind of threatening message telling him to leave me alone. He then was saying stuff, "Why can't you tell me this yourself? Why can't you at least talk to me? I just don't understand you." I responded something like, "I'm sorry about the messages. I didn't know he sent them, but I have told you, I don't want you to contact me yet. You keep sending me those letters, and I think he was just worried about me." This is when he got pretty angry and was saying stuff like, "What are you worried about?" and how he had just been trying to be nice. Yeah, he actually said it. He pretty much just repeated what he said in the letters, but it was the first real time he actually scared me a little. I didn't really know what to do, but then he called me a slut to my face, and I was like, "Damn this, I'm not listening to you anymore. Leave me alone," and went straight to my apartment. As I was walking away, he tried to backtrack and apologize, but I didn't want to give him any more attention, so I ignored him. The first thing I did after this was talk to my brother again, because I was kind of annoyed at him for getting involved, and I wanted to find out exactly what he said. So he got his Facebook from one of my friends and sent him this message. You need to leave my sister alone. You are creeping her out. If you don't, there will be consequences. So, I guess it does sound a little threatening, but it is not as bad as thought it might have been. Even though I was worried that my brother's message might have been seen as provocation, I decided that I was going to call the police. I waited until the next day because I was tired and it had got a bit late after talking to my brother. I shouldn't have been surprised that I woke up to another letter. I think he loves having the last word. It's not very long, so I will type it out again. Dear, I'm sorry for some of the things I said to you yesterday. I didn't mean them, but the heat of the moment got to me. I did feel threatened by what your brother said to me. All I have tried to do is talk to the person I live next door to after I slept with them. You've made it pretty clear you're not interested in me, and I have accepted that. However, I have explained to you multiple times that I find it strange you don't want to talk, so I think you could be more understanding to my feelings, instead of just labeling me a creep. I think we need to talk like adults, in person, because I feel so frustrated that you don't understand what I've tried to say to you in my letters, and the only way to do it now is face to face. I won't let my anger get the better of me like it has previously, and surely you must see this is a better idea than getting your brother to send me messages. There was no way I was going to talk to him in person again, as the last 2 times we spoke, he just got angry with me and called me a slut and a puss. I wanted the whole situation over now, so I called the police. It was the non-emergency thing, and they were actually very helpful. I was prepared for them not to care. And they asked me to go to the station, and I had to show all the stuff he sent me, the letters and Facebook messages, etc. They filed a report, and originally they offered to call him, but when I told them I didn't have his number, they said they would go and talk to him. I just want to make this clear for those who responded to me before saying going to the cops was too far. This isn't a restraining order. He hasn't been charged or anything. All I have done is file a police report, and we have both agreed to not contact each other, and if either one of us contacts each other, then it will go further. I was sort of expecting him to send another letter after this, but he hasn't. I know it's only been a couple days, but I do feel better about the situation now. I'm going to stay here for now. I might talk to my landlord, but I don't think he would let me break my lease. If I feel like I don't want to stay, I think my brother would help me out with money. I do feel bad about what happened, and of course I should never have slept with him. The number 1 lesson I have learned is don't sleep with your neighbor. But if anyone reading this finds themselves in a similar situation, I guess my advice is trust your instinct and go talk to the cops, because they can be helpful, and it doesn't mean they're going to start arresting people. Anyway, thanks for all the advice. It was appreciated. Final update. Initially, I was thinking I would just try to stick out living there until my lease ended, but on the encouragement of some of the replies on my last post, I decided to talk to my landlord. He was not really very understanding and was like, "You shouldn't have slept with him," which I guess is true. He said there is nothing he can do now, but if I wanted to break the lease, I could, but it would cost me 2 months' rent as a termination fee, and I have to give 60 days notice, though he did say to let him know if anything else happens. So I left it, but I was living in constant anxiety of seeing him or that he would just do something else. Then, I talked to my brother again, and he told me that my neighbor had been messaging him, saying crap like, "How does it feel to know your little sister's a slut?" and other sensual stuff. I wasn't really sure if I could go to the police again with this, because he wasn't directly contacting me, but I realized I didn't want to stay anymore. My brother agreed to help me come up with the money, so I thought that would be that, and I could get away. Then maybe a couple days later, I ran into my neighbor. It probably was just a coincidence. It was going to happen at some point. The weird thing was, he was being super friendly and asked how I was, etc., and didn't mention any of the stuff that had happened. I found it almost creepier than when he was being aggressive, and I told him that he was supposed to be leaving me alone and I wanted him to stop contacting my brother. He said something like, I thought we had moved past all that. This is when I seriously began to think there is something really wrong with him, and I just told him, again, to leave me alone. Then, surprise, he sent me another letter. I can't find it right now, but it basically said there was no need to contact the police before, and I hope you aren't thinking about doing it again. But the tone of it was kind of threatening. I went to the police again, and things got a lot more serious this time. I got a temporary injunction against him. Then there was a hearing, and I got a final injunction, restraining order. Because of this, I was able to break my lease without the termination fee with only 30 days' notice. I stayed with a friend for a couple weeks, but this week I have moved into a new place and finally feel like I can move on from all this. Thanks for the advice on here. It sure gave me the confidence to go to the cops.